All right, so we're picking up where we left off, reacting to not so erudite. So yeah, she was about to go into a point with what just barely things are saying, so we're just going to take it back a bit so that we can actually get the context.
which is conflict resolution, coming together, having peace, and understanding that the biggest thing is you coming together and unified, working towards a goal rather than just destroying it and tearing it apart. Because again, these, like, if you look at the two, right, what happens when a woman gets divorced? The probability for getting divorced in the next marriage is higher and higher and higher, right? They just keep on doing this because their legacy is failure. Their legacy is giving up. Their legacy is like, this is what I do. I just quit when things get hard. I do
Well,
have...
and it makes you not as able to attach. Because think about it, if you drink every day, you're going to get used to alcohol. If you're sleeping with all these people, you're going to get used to it.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is a testament. This is I don't know if people haven't realized this now. Then I think you can actually sell them. You can actually sell them an airport because it's like just listening to the way this young lady talks, right? You can tell that she doesn't put a lot of thoughts into what she says, right? She just says it. She's just like spamming talking points at this point. It's like there's a program, there's like a program, and then once it's her turn to talk, she's like, okay, spam anything that comes in. She just spams it. She's just saying whatever, and then once the backlash comes in, she now starts, backtracking or trying to bob and weave and all that. And I'm like, guy, that's not if at all you want to even like that. Anyway,
The mechanisms that build tolerance probably shouldn't be compared to sex, particularly because casual sex doesn't mean every single day constantly. In fact, that would imply that just having a lot of sex, even with the same partner, right? Why would having different partners build the tolerance, right?
exactly.
Theoretically, if I was every single day, according to her logic, my tolerance would increase. It would be less effective. I mean, bond less.
And it would be less fun, to be
the
less
idea that like
interesting.
specifically new partners is gonna like act on the tolerance system is a really fascinating thing that has a lot to do with something called a counter condition response.
Mm.
Tolerance research is fascinating and also has nothing to do with body count at all. Just to be clear, the like neurological underpinnings of tolerance, I actually can't even conceive of a way that I would map it on with body count.
See, and this is why I enjoy watching Not So Erudite, because no, okay, first of all, I enjoy watching her stuff because sometimes she gets to draw on um the paint software. I really like that. I like visuals. I'm like it. I really like the fact that she gets to draw. But another thing is when she talks with, like, she knows what she's saying, right? Or she has a rough idea of what she's saying. She's not just saying stuff just to say it. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, if I say one more time, I'll throw up. Yeah. Anyway.
Now, it doesn't make any sense with the way I'm not going to go into it right now, unless somebody really wants me to. But
Yes, please.
you'll have to send it.
Please go into it. I'm just asking.
Ask girls that have slapped
In
like,
case you see
admitted on
this
shows that it's
video.
like 50 plus, 100 plus people. Yeah, I know. I know. I was like, but it was crazy. I asked them, how many of those men did you love? None. 5. And it seems to be like women have the capacity to fall in love roughly 5 times and you're done. And the data sort of supports it because it's like after around like 5 to 8
start working on being less white. Enoch Jackson super chatted $5. Kylo, if you had to room with MLD or Pearl for a month, who would it be?
Pearl, for sure. I actually don't think I would feel safe.
God damn it.
Wrong air. Okay, fine. We'll explain it. Make you a pretty picture.
Yay, picture.
All right, let's talk about tolerance. This is not the only theory of tolerance before some loser freaks out. Actually, you know what? If some loser freaks out, fuck them. Okay? I don't care. This is not the only theory of tolerance, but this is a really interesting one that's been studied. So this is called a counter-conditioned response. Here, I'll write it out. Counter-conditioned response. So, I'm going to tell you a story about your nervous system, okay? And we're going to use like a simple amphetamine, okay? We'll use like methamphetamine as our sample group, okay?
Mhm.
When you take meth, all right, boop, 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 we're going to make it a little box. We'll make it blue. We'll make it a star, actually. A pink star, not a Jew star.
Wait, oh no.
This kind of star. Okay, there we go. When you take meth, all
I'm
right, what
dead.
happens to your system, your poor little system, is your system explodes with things like dopamine and other things. But we're going to keep it real simple right now. Dopamine is one of the things it explodes with. And your
Okay.
body has this weird obsession with something called, okay, this is a weigh scale. Okay, our body loves something called homeostatic
Homeostasis.
balance. Homeostatic. Oh my gosh, now I'm brain farting on if it's
Yeah, that's basically
I think it's
homeostasis.
static.
But
Homeostasis.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just use homeostasis. Let's just say homeostasis. Homeostasis. Okay. Homeostasis. Your body likes to be balanced. So homeostasis is the system, for example, that keeps you from being too hot or too cold. Okay, homeostasis, when you get a fever, is your body will do a whole bunch of
I know this because I majored in microbiology. So yeah. I'm proud of myself. I'm glad that my degree is paying off.
stuff to drop your body temperature. If you get too cold, your body does a bunch of stuff like making you shiver to bump up your temperature. It's about equilibriums. Your body likes to have a nice balanced system. And when you take meth, what happens, and a whole bunch of other drugs, not just meth, what happens is your homeostasis gets thrown out of whack. Okay, you get a shitload of dopamine dumped into your system. That's a D, by the way. Dopamine. Okay? And your system goes, "Oh my god, that's awful." Okay? This is your brain. It's going to be a terrible brain. Burp. Burp. Okay? This is your brain all happy on homeostasis. Actually, I'll go like this. Okay? Happy brain. This is your brain on drugs, okay? Sad. Very sad. Okay? Sad boy. So your brain doesn't like this. And so what happens to your brain is you develop something called a counter-conditioned response. Counter-conditioned responses are extremely important for understanding tolerance, and it's why, for example, your tolerance for a substance will change depending on the location that you are, okay? So what happens is your brain doesn't like this. It goes into basically like emergency alert, right? It has like an alert system. Alert, 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 right? It doesn't like it. So what happens is your body then develops a whole bunch of things to counteract this from happening. So your body is going to map on through a learning process system of basically things like the environment you were in. So maybe it'll be like, okay, well, when we took this, there was a needle, right? I was with my friend Jim. I was in my basement, and it was nighttime. Okay? Whole bunch of things that your system goes, okay. And then what happens with chronic regular users, particularly with tolerance, is their body gets better and better and better at processing this imbalance quicker and quicker and quicker. And so what happens in a counter-conditioned response specifically is when these things appear, your homeostatic system will actually start already counteracting the dopamine before it hits your system. So this is where tolerance comes from. And this is why people will OD when they're used to taking their drugs in their basement. They will go to like a party elsewhere. They'll take the same dosage, but they've gotten such a high tolerance in their basement that when they take the same dosage in the new setting or with the new method, it ODs them, right?
Oh wow.
Crazy.
That's actually
insane shit. And this
that's actually interesting because it's like so thinking deeper on this, right? Like let me just see if I can apply it to an everyday person because I know hopefully most people that are yet to watch this don't do meth. if you do meth, I'm judging you heavily. Just know that I'm judging you heavily if you do meth and you're watching this channel. Stop it. Get some help. All right. Anyway, so it's like, what can people get addicted to? So yeah, you can be addicted to like um corn. You can be addicted to playing games. Let's just use playing games since that's something I can actually talk about without my hopes of getting monetized or dashed. Anywho, or my video getting taken down for some reason. And so let's say game addiction. Using the things that you mentioned, yeah, the brain kind of identifies various uh items, various things, or various settings, and then once those settings are present, once those settings are available, right, it kind of starts counterbalancing. And so once it tilts, once it sees, okay, for example, maybe you play games in your room, and then once it's maybe you play games after dinner, and then you also play, um, maybe after you play games, you speak to, or before you play a game, you speak to maybe one of your friends. Of course, maybe the friend that's trying to like hop on the game with you. And so it's like once it's after dinner, your body starts sending in the stuff to counterbalance. Once you're once you call your friend, it just keeps on pumping and pumping, and then once you start playing the game and the dopamine starts hitting, it starts trying to balance it out. And you can actually apply this to like other things, which kind of makes sense. Which I think Pearl was trying to do with uh having sex and body counts and stuff like that. But I don't think it works that way, right? I don't think that works the same way as normal addiction, because being addicted to having sex is different from um being addicted to uh, other substances. I feel like there are unique properties that that come with having sex and all that. So yeah. Anyway, I really just enjoy how not so erudite breaks things down. Do I have to call her not so erudite all the time? I think her name is erudite. I guess I'll just say erudite. I'll just say NSE. NSE sounds no erudite is nice. So yeah.
This is something, by the way, that like when somebody's gone through a detox, that staff will warn them about. It's being like, just so you know, your tolerance is lower, and also remember that if you do substances in a different location, your tolerance will not be the same. It's called a counter-conditioned response. This is part of what is tolerance. Okay.
Wait,
What happens?
wait. So does that mean if someone's tolerance is high, right? That means it affects the dopamine hit or the dopamine rush. So, using this theory, could it be that if you go to, like, let's say you've built a tolerance, you go to a different place, would it hit different? Would it be more like, would the dopamine rush feel similar or close to similar with an initial high? Like one of the highs that you like a very, I don't know, let me see, how do I put this question? Um, okay, let me break it down in my mind. So according to this theory, right, if you go elsewhere, you'll be able to OD if you take your normal thing that the body is already used to when you're doing it like at home or stuff like that, somewhere that your body is already used to you taking that drug or whatever, right? Sorry. If you go somewhere else, would the high be better? And then subsequently, can someone actually go to different locations and then experience similar highs, like a constant high because they're going to different locations? I think that's the best way to put the question. Yeah.
is your system preps before. So this all is happening right now. You haven't taken it. It preps. So it has a whole bunch of things, starts decreasing your dopamine release overall. Your system preps. And then what happens? You take the drugs. All right? You take the dopamine, but it doesn't throw your system nearly as off, which is what you call tolerance. So this is why you don't have as strong of a reaction. Okay? This is actually crazy. So what happens in tolerance over time is it's not just it's a counter conditioned response, and because of certain substances like depressants that have such massive effects, when your body is back in sobriety, your body actually begins to exist like this all the time. This is why when you're going through recovery, for example, you actually have like lower levels of things like dopamine, things like oxytocin, and things like endorphins, so like natural painkillers. And this is why when you're going through recovery, you'll experience things like nothing's pleasurable anymore, by the way. It's super, super interesting, right? It's also why, for example, when you're trying to quit nicotine and you see people go like this, it makes you want it because your system is starting to prep. So it's already balancing the system a bit against the dopamine.
So there are certain
expected
things
to come in from this, which starts your craving for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense. Same thing with food cravings. There are some because there's one thing I try to do. I try to like notice some certain things about myself. So there's some colors that I see. Once I see the colors, the instant because I'm a very I'm artistic and not autistic, artistic. And so colors like kind of mean a lot to me in my head. So once I see certain colors, once I hear certain things in combination, they start making me think of certain foods. For example, right now I'm already thinking of um I'm already looking at something that reminds me of a restaurant that I really enjoy going to. Um there are some certain words that I guess trigger some things for some people that triggers other things for other people. So and it just goes to show that if you're very, very used to certain things and you hear them, or you're used to associating things with, thing A with thing B, right? Once you hear thing A, it just instantly links your brain to thing B, and then your body starts kind of like prepping. So, yeah, that's actually very, very interesting.
This shit is not real. This shit is real. Okay, I'm telling you right now, this shit is real. Go ahead and Google it. Look up counter-conditioned responses. It's actually crazy. This is why, for example, you will see like famous actors OD when they go to like parties and do the same dosages. This is absolutely what it is. And you guys are just arguing about whether or not we're a cult. We are a cult. It's
We are. We are called. I'm part of it. I'm enlisting myself right now.
There you go.
Partners.
So just to be clear, I cannot conceive of how this would have to do with sex and partners. Doesn't because that would mean that if I'm having sex with the same partner, you would think that the effect of sex would wear off. Orgasms would probably maybe be less. The effect of bonding would be less. Right? There's no good reason to suggest why it would be somehow like massively, massively different. Right? Why wouldn't we have tolerance just building up, particularly when it comes to sleeping with the same partner over time? That would make sense based on CCR.
Yep, it does.
I use the analogy of like a Vietnam war vet, right? Like the first 2-3 people you kill, you're like, oh my god, like I see their faces at night. After you kill 20 people, you're just like, and that's what happens with these chicks. They're like jaded war vets, just like running through one dick after another.
And that's why I say the average like woman today would be like so haram, because again, like the average woman today has, and this is the self-reported stats that take into like older women into account, so it's probably higher. But it's like you have 5 to 8 partners, and by every data that says you have less than 25% chance of having a happy marriage in 10 years.
I do have a question. I'm going to teach women how to be a little bit understanding.
The annoying thing is that the stats that she's talking about, I was watching Destiny stream one time, and he actually pulled it up. That's the thing. That's one thing I like. So he pulled it up, and then I also went back to, I can't remember where, but he pulled it up, and I also went back to like check the stats as well. And so the stats showed that for male and females, for women, when they have like 2 partners, right, their chances of having a happy relationship and all, marriage or something, drops. Right, it drops after 2 partners. It drops. For the man, I think it's 3 or 4, right? And then it drops as well. But after the fourth, fifth, and sixth partner, I think it's around the sixth partner. It for women it goes back up and a little higher than the first two partners. Again, I have to like I'm going to try my best to look for it and then I would post it as like a normal comment or something like that, right? So it goes back up on the sixth or seventh partner, right? And then for the men, I think at the fifth or sixth, it's still it goes back a little higher, but it just stays there. Then it finally tanks maybe at 7 or 8. Like it just stays there. But for women, it goes a little higher and it stays there as well. So I'm like, so that means technically, statistically, if you want to do that, that means after the fourth or fifth, then you'll be fine. After the fourth or fifth body, then you can still go and marry and you'll be okay. Just to balance things out. That doesn't like they should look they should like post the stat up when they talk like this. I know I'm criticizing for the same thing I'm doing, but yeah, it's their channel. Plus I'm lazy. I don't know what you guys are expecting. But anyway.
What did you mean by women need to endure? And this is me teaching women how to actually ask a person what they meant rather than jump into the gun and attack immediately. 'Cause when I actually heard that, I thought,
Stop.
what? But I'm going to give you the floor to like.
Yes. So what I'm just saying is that a lot of people
Stop.
right now in modern relationships, in anything, my general statement at the time was people are just weak. People give up. People quit on university degrees. People quit on giving up drugs. People quit on diets. People quit on relationships. People quit on their families. Deadbeat dads, deadbeat moms. People just give up and they constantly go down the path of least resistance. What I'm saying is collectively.
But you also quit. You also quit on your weight loss journey. You quit and decided to use a shortcut. So anyway,
Everybody needs to stop giving up. They need to stop being pussy. They need to stop quitting at the sight of one conflict and a problem. A lot of people think that like success is just this linear thing up, right? How long did you do YouTube before you popped off?
It's not good. A year. That's not good.
But still, a lot of people quit after a couple months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For when I started my YouTube channel, and the shorts thing helped you out. When I had my YouTube channel from 2015.
she has money. She started YouTube far better than almost anyone else that starts YouTube. Like she has money, she could get cameras and all those things. Like she actually had an apartment that her parents gave her. So you can't really use her to she's not a very fantastic yardstick to yeah.
To 2019, I had 880 subscribers. 4 years of just blatant failure. And then finally, after I figured some things out in 2019 to present, I've made millions of dollars doing what I do. So, but I endured. I went through the thing. And even now, I feel like my platform is kind of like at another plateau and I have to push through that and have to elevate again. I could easily.
I don't know how this motherfucker's talking about quitting on diets when he got liposuction.
Give up. I could easily throw my hands up and be like, oh, well, I'm this. I'm from a single mother household. Or
Again, I don't care if people get liposuction. I just care when you can, like, put your feet where your mouth is.
Dang.
About concepts like CCR and similar concepts. I don't know. I read like research. I would just Google Scholar, counter condition response.
I'm a man and everything's a female-centric society and everything's against me. I can sit here and make a million excuses, but at the end of the day, nobody cares about anything in today's culture other than results. So you got to endure to get them done.
So what did you mean by women need to endure? Like, what did you mean by that sentence?
I didn't say women need to endure.
Okay, yeah.
I said endure. See, even you didn't pay attention to the context. Now I got to clip.
No big shot. How dare you go after for that? I didn't say women. When I was asked about abusive situations, I was really making a comment on the state of human propriety and our willingness to, stick things out and be anti-fragile. So, it was in the context people were asking me about women being abused, but I was actually making a meta-criticism of society.
This would make me go viral in a negative way again.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's it. That's it for today. We're good for today. All right. Take care. Stay safe, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, you know the usual stuff to do. Like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Comments, blah blah blah. Yeah.